Hello, it's January 5th, 2021, and I just finished reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, and I decided I'm going to start recording myself, just giving a quick review, be it 30 seconds or 30 minutes, every time I finish a book, and post it online just to save that review and thoughts and everything. So, this is mostly for me, but yeah, here we go. Elantris, I read it. Good book. I enjoyed it a lot. I just basically finished Rhythm of War, I guess a month or two ago now, and the Elantris, which is the first entry into the Cosmere, is the last one that I read. This is the book where Elantris is this ancient magical city that used to house these supreme magical beings that were deities, not gods necessarily, but just ultra-powerful, eternal forces, generally for good. And 10 years ago, the whole city went to shit. They all got diseased. And basically there was, riots, uproar, upended this society. And now all the Elantrian citizens, instead of being gods, are plagued, diseased, the Walking Dead zombie. They're people, they're regular people, but they're like dead. They have these problems. So, and yeah, we just kind of follow three main characters: Rauden, the prince who becomes an Elantrian, Serene, princess from across the ocean, who comes in to be our political hero, and Hrathen, who is the enemy priest of this basically church nation that's dominating the world via their religion and stuff. And I should probably write down like what I want to talk about, right? I guess plot, character, prose, kind of go from there. The writing, the prose was not great. You can tell that was the main criticism when you read online, is like you can sort of tell this is Sanderson's first book, and you can tell. It's not bad. There's a level of dryness. It lacks a certain level of depth that later Sanderson books have. And I've always felt that Sanderson is prone to writing these sort of cheesy, like, end of chapter lines. Like, and she fell into his arms, so happy to be in love. That sort of thing. He always does that, and most of the time he makes it work. It sort of fits what he's going for. And it does. I had really Mistborn Era 1. I had this problem with Vin, and I definitely had this problem with Elantris, with Serene. And again, Serene is another Sanderson female character that is just too perfect. She is very witty and very smart. I feel like I've read this character. This is Jasna. This is Shallan. It's the same. This is Navani. Vin, not so much. Vin's great. But it's just another one of these characters that's just like, I hate it because I love a lot of these. I love them all. I don't hate these characters, but there's just this certain wit and just blanket genius, this unearned genius and political acumen that they have. He loves this character trope, and it doesn't really do it for me. And that's Serene. She was probably my least favorite. Rauden was pretty good as a lead. He has a little bit of a flaw being too perfect as well. But at least I don't like it when they're too smart without it feeling earned, or without it. Like, I like a Sherlock Holmes character, but I don't like this twist on it where they're not like a super genius. They're just like too good. And Rauden was too good in the moral sense. He was just this perfect prince. But that's okay. That doesn't bother me quite as much as the wit thing. And I really enjoyed his character arc. But I want to get to Hrathen. Hrathen, wow, what a character. I love this dude. He's like this presented as this egomaniac, disgusting, like religious fanatic, like just gross, like, but very powerful and just like a, what's the word? Charismatic man. And he, over the course of the book, fights with his faith, the flaws in his faith, and it's like his point of view you're reading. And Sanderson does a great job with Hrathen of presenting the flaws of religion while presenting like the parts of like Christianity where you understand why someone is that way and you almost sympathize with them, but then you, like, for me, of course, still disagree with them strongly. And I don't know if that's necessarily Sanderson's intent with Hrathen. I think it is, but I know he's like a very religious man, so it's not like a critique on religion. It's just a critique on religious exploitation and religion, using religion to conquer politically, geopolitically, militarily. And Hrathen is just very good at presenting that to you, and while also humanizing the people who are in that faith that aren't evil, I guess. That's weird to say because Hrathen is evil. He's like one of the 10 most powerful men in this religious state, in his church, which is like conquers half the world when you start reading. And he caused like an uprising in this neighboring country where like a bunch of people died and stuff. So he's not a good dude. But it has the redemption story. At the end of the book, he betrays his religion, so he sees the religion for the evil that it is and not his faith. He still has his faith, but he betrays the political aspects of it, the leaders, the exploitation, the conquerors. He betrays them and saves our heroes. And just, I loved being inside his head. I loved it so much. By far my favorite part of Elantris, and holds up with any of his other books. Elantris was good. Elantris was really good with Hrathen. The plot was engaging. I quite like Elantris. I love the setup. But the politics in the middle, it's boring. It's very similar to Mistborn Book 1, Book 2 politics, where they're just going to balls and Serene is just engaging politically. It gets really good once Serene goes to Elantris herself and meets Rauden, even though she doesn't know it's him because he's still Elantris zombied. The plot takes off from there, but you don't get there for maybe halfway through at least. And it starts really good. That part, not so good. That front part, and then middle and the end, it's good, and not really any twists and turns that are completely unpredictable. But still engaging. I was engaged with this book the whole way. Mainly because of Hrathen. Man, I really liked Hrathen. What can I say? While I was reading, since I had just read Rhythm of War, I was trying to go back and note down any Cosmere-related stuff that I found interesting. One main thing, there was when the Shroud, which is like the Elantris death thing, it like starts overcoming and surging through Rauden. Like, he's like feels this bout of power trying to burst out of him, and it's like this vehicle for presumably this shard, Dominion, I think, that's like dead and not being used and trying to get out. Anyways, when it like surges like on the semi-climax through him, he shrieks a pure tone, and I'm like, that is damn close to a pure tone of Roshar. So I found that to be like, because I have to read Mistborn to see if there's any pure tones of the planets there, but there was a pure tone on Elantris land, that's for sure. It got shrieked through him. And then I guess I didn't really pick up on too many themes in this one. Really just the religious stuff was kind of right there for you. I didn't pick up on much else. I don't really know if there was much else. But yeah, it's getting long here. With my next one, I'm going to try and at least very briefly outline what I want to talk about before I record myself. But I had to do this now while I had the gusto to do it. So there you go. Elantris took me a week or two to read. January 2021, very early, like January 3rd is when I finished it. Good book. I enjoyed it.